This is Law Students. Let's talk about warranties this week. This is from your textbook at chapter 23. Now, why is a warranty important to you? Well, in your personal life, anytime we bought a phone, a TV, etc., you've seen warranty language on the back, on the terms and conditions somewhere, on when you get software, whatever. There's also a lot of disclaimer of warranties language. Gee, we don't warranty this, we only warranty that. Um, also, if any of you bought a used car, you'll see huge letters saying you're buying this car as is, which is the used car dealer backing away from warranty, saying if this doesn't work, it's your problem. So those are warranties, and you're also going to see them. They're important to you also in business because you need to know if the things you're purchasing is the supplier, the vendor, are they going to stand behind them? And when you sell your products, what are your warranties you're giving to your customers? Okay, so let's share real quick. Let's talk about some different types of warranties: title, express, implied, and warranty disclaimers. So these are different things we need to learn in the warranty world. First of all, um, even if a contract itself does not have specific warranty language, there are also things called implied warranties. In other words, implied in law. And you might recall, and a lot of those are under UCC Article 2 or 2A. Again, the Uniform Commercial Code or 2A, and that has to do with the lease or sale of goods between merchants. So again, the Uniform Commercial Code doesn't apply if you're a customer at Walmart, but it does apply between Walmart as a buyer and Levi's as a seller to Walmart. So in your business, uh, unless you're purely a service business or you're selling real estate, Uniform Commercial Code will apply if you whether you realize it or not. So you can see here, as we talked before, warranties of title, express warranties implied. Uh, what are warranties of title? Basically, when you purchase something, in other words, when ownership is transferred to you, there are three types of warranty that go with that. The first is good title. What does that mean? Well, whomever is selling it to you owns it, unrestricted. Okay? I can't sell you my friend's car because I don't have good title or ownership to that car. There's no liens. Now, if I'm selling you a car, oh, by the way, Bank of Oklahoma is owed $20,000 on that car. Well, I've got to go through the appropriate steps and get waivers from Bank of Oklahoma and make sure money goes to them first, and then they do a lien waiver. But when I'm selling it to you, I'm representing there's no liens on these goods that I'm selling. Sometimes you see that as well. Let's say, for example, you're working on a big project at a plant or something for a big engineering company, and um, you have supplied goods of some sort. Well, if the customer doesn't pay, you might actually file a lien in the county where their plant is until they pay you. So whenever you're selling something, then there's a question about are there any liens or security interests or is someone owed in relation to those goods? And finally, no infringement. So what the heck does that mean? Well, infringement almost always talks about intellectual property. And we will talk at some point about different types of intellectual property. One, of course, there's just general know-how. If you have worked in an industry for 20 years and you know how to make something or do something that a lot of others don't, and there's some sort of commercial advantage and you keep it confidential, et cetera, that's known as a trade secret. And you're representing whatever you're selling doesn't incorporate stolen trade secrets. Same thing with a patent. You know what a patent is. Same thing with copyright. So if you're buying a Nike t-shirt that's manufactured, but it hasn't been authorized or licensed by Nike, well, there's an infringement there, isn't there? And so that's problematic. So these are the three things you are representing or guaranteeing, or another word for guarantee is warranty, warranting when you sell something. Right. Express warranties. Well, we talked about different types of warranties. This is one. And basically, an express warranty is when you make an express affirmation statement. This can be on your website when it describes the goods. It can be your whoever's selling you the goods making such and such of a promise. It can be they've shown you a model of the goods. Well, they made an express warranty that what they sell you is going to look like and operate like the model they showed you. All right, let's jump over to real quick video about that. Bear with me. All right, I apologize. It's going to take just a minute to get there. Thanks for your patience. I apologize. It's taken so long. There we go. I thought I had this already open. There we go. It was opened. All right, now we're almost there. We are almost there.
A warranty is both a representation of fact and a binding contractual covenant. That is, the warrantor represents that things are a certain way, and if they aren't, the warrantor is in breach. Article 2 recognizes two types of warranties, express and implied. In this lesson, we'll focus on express warranties. In contrast to implied warranties, which we'll discuss in another lesson, express warranties aren't automatically implied by the operation of law. Rather, they're created by the seller. Under Article 2, a seller can create an express warranty through an affirmation of fact or promise, a description of the goods, or by providing a sample or model. Imagine a law student fell in love with a local girl and decided to propose. Let's explore how the law student might encounter each of these three sources of express warranty during his engagement ring search. When a seller makes an affirmation of fact or a promise related to the goods to the buyer, it creates an express warranty that the goods will conform to the affirmation or promise. A statement relates to the goods if it concerns the goods' type, description, or quality.
Boy, that was quick. I said it was short. It really was, wasn't it? All right, now let's go back. So you'll see this in text, I think, and this is not test question, but basically, if you go to buy a car and the salesman says these four things to you, you're going to love it. Best car. It's safe. Car gets 40 miles per gallon. Well, which really is an express warranty? In my opinion, it's 40 miles per gallon because some of those might be considered opinions, but this sure as heck is a very clear, definitive representation. And if you get the car and it goes, 10 miles a gallon, then you can go back and sue the dealership, right? Implied warranties, a little hard to see, but you can see on your outlines implied warranties of merchantability. Um, Basically, if I sell this type of goods, so any supplier to your company, and I don't care if it's Jim at the paper selling you. at oh heck, I can't remember the name of that show. Sorry, my kids loved it. Somebody supplying you paper to your company to somebody supplying sophisticated medical tools. If you see an example of that, and implied within that, now we express was you see how it's packaged, what it looks like, etc. Now let's move over to what's implied by law. So even if they don't say it, these are still warranties that convey to you, guarantees that convey to you merchantability. Well, if this person routinely sells paper, medical devices, whatever, then they, by selling to you, are saying it's properly packaged and labeled. It's the proper quality. It's not defective. And it is reasonably fit for the ordinary purposes people will use that for. Paper, I get that. So it's going to work on my copier. Okay. Now, however, there's a deeper warranty. So if you, let's say you have a big manufacturing plant and you pull in uh, a guy who, a company that manufactures manufacturing equipment that you need. You bring that guy in and you show them this is what we're manufacturing. It has to meet these, it has to manufacture at 500 degrees centigrade. It has to kick these out. Well, it wouldn't be that high centigrade, but anyway, has to kick these out. It has to do, 1,000 pieces per hour, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you have described to the vendor or supplier or seller to you the particular purpose for which this machine is going to be used. So now the vendor, supplier, seller has a higher duty. They are aware what your purpose is. So now they must meet the implied warranty that will fit the particular purpose for which you're using it. Okay. And you see the elements there. Um, there's also an implied warranty that if, for example, you guys, your vendor has been supplying you for 10 years and it's always in waterproof packaging, and then and it goes across the ocean, but this time it's not waterproof packaging and it arrives corroded because of the salt water. Well, you can argue no, because of our course of dealing, past transactions, usage of trade, how it's done in our industry, that they had an implied warranty to provide it waterproof. And so it wouldn't corrode with salt water. And you can actually force them to give you new goods that are packaged appropriately. All right. Now we got another quick video, really quick, on, um, bear with me, on implied warranties.
When a buyer purchases goods, the buyer generally has certain expectations regarding the goods' quality. To address these expectations, Article 2 contains two implied warranties of quality: the implied warranty of fitness for a particular purpose and the implied warranty of merchantability, which we'll discuss in this lesson. The implied warranty of merchantability automatically arises by operation of law in transactions involving a seller who is a merchant with respect to goods of the kind. In any contract for the sale of goods, such a merchant seller warrants that the goods will be merchantable. Merchantable doesn't mean perfect. However, Section 2.314 does set forth 6 minimum merchantability requirements. To be merchantable, the goods must pass without objection in the trade, if fungible, be of average fair quality, be fit for the ordinary purposes for which goods of the kind are used, run of even kind, quantity, and quality, be adequately labeled and packaged, and conform to any promises or affirmations of fact on the label or container. Let's take a closer look at each of these requirements. The requirement that the goods pass without objection in the trade under the contract should be read together with the distinct but related requirement that fungible goods be of average fair quality within the description. These requirements mean that the goods should, for the most part, be what they purport to be and be of average quality in the trade. Although the goods don't need to be perfect, meeting trade standard is key.
All right. It was another video. Um, let's go back to our outline. We're moving along pretty quickly, which I'm sure you don't mind. What if there are overlapping warranties? Let's say that your supplier, seller says one thing, but the implied warranty is different. What do we do then? Well, here's a real quick rule. If it's an express warranty, that trumps or controls over implied warranties. A sample is rules description. So if they said, well, this is going to be a 200 horsepower such and such, but what they showed you was 250, actually, it's reasonable for you to rely on the 200, not the 250, because they actually gave you a sample, even though it's contrary to the description. Technical specs, and you're going to get that a lot with products. Well, that is going to rule over, if there's a conflict, that is, over samples or general descriptions. All right. I'll let you look at these on your own. Now, you've seen this when you bought almost anything, but warranty disclaimers. So, as to express warranties, there's uh, you actually have to have a written statement in your sales contract that I'm disclaiming such and such warranties. It has to be clear, it has to be conspicuous. You buy something and this contract is 43 pages and it's buried on page 30 and it's not larger type, it's not bold type, et cetera, then you can argue that was not clear and conspicuous, so the warranty disclaimer does not apply. Implied warranties, like we said when we began, whenever you buy a car, if it says as is, you have agreed to a warranty. Uh, and if, or excuse me, you've agreed to the waiver of the warranty. All right, that's it for warranties this week. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you on our next chapter.